What was the biggest demonstration in Taiwan's history? You may be surprised to know the answer. Are you guys ready? I'm going to be asking you today about some of the biggest events that have led people to take to the streets in Taiwan. All right, let's start off with a big one. Let's talk about the most violent protest in the last century. Do you know what that was?
Ooh, in the world?
No, in Taiwan.
No, I don't know which one it is. Most violent.
It must have been 228.
228,
that's
correct.
But that counts.
Yeah, that definitely counts.
Okay.
So that's the February 28th incident of 1947. Now, tensions were already high because the authorities had just come from China and they were ruling the local people with a pretty heavy hand at the time. Now, the Flashpoint, do you know what the Flashpoint was?
A cigarette seller, 40-year-old woman who got her cigarettes taken away because they weren't supposed to be sold.
Yeah. That's right. The police actually hit her. This actually also reminds me of Eric Garner in New York City, also selling cigarettes. So what happened is they hit her, the crowd kind of went crazy, and then the police opened fire. So many people died in this incident. The result was they started martial law in 1949, and then the White Terror period, which saw tens of thousands of deaths. One of the darkest periods in Taiwan's history. So the number I want to ask you is, how many years was martial law in Taiwan?
It ended in 1987, so that's 38?
Excellent. Let's have a look at the answer.
Okay.
You are exactly right. It was 38 years, and this is a picture from the 228 incident. Let's go on from the most violent demonstration in Taiwan's history to the biggest demonstration in Taiwan's history. Can either of you guess what that demonstration was?
Was it against the military?
It was not against the military.
It's not that one, right?
I think the White Lily student movement?
It wasn't. I'm going to tell you because it's a really hard one. All right, let me tell you. This is the 228 hand-in-hand rally of 2004. Oh, do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So basically, people held hands across Taiwan. So for 500 kilometers from Keelung in the north all the way down to Pingtung in the south, people joined hands. They were protesting China's deployment of missiles aimed at Taiwan. It was also political in nature because 2004 was an election year. The question is, how many people participated in Taiwan's biggest demonstration? Remember, they stood hand in hand from Keelung to Pingtung, 500 kilometers.
Let's say 700,000.
Okay, Leslie, you want to make a guess?
I'm doing a lot of math in my head right now. I'll go with 1 million.
All right, let's have a look at the answer.
Oh, wow, 2 million people.
2 million people. So this was definitely
That's a lot of
the
people.
biggest demonstration in Taiwan's history. So now let's go on to this next demonstration from 2013. And this involved protesters wearing white shirts, and it was sparked by the death of one young man. Do you know who that man was?
He was in the military.
Hong Chung-chiu.
Hong Chung-chiu. Very good. So he was a 24-year-old military conscript. He died of a heat stroke. He was punished for doing something wrong. Do you know what he did?
He was ratting on his superiors, right?
Well, they say that the problem was that he brought his cell phone into an army base. And it's obviously it's more complicated than that. But people were really upset about the cruelty of his death and the kind of the tough environment of the military. The question I want to ask you, the number I'm looking for is, how many people were convicted in the death of Chung-chiu?
Oh.
26?
I don't remember. 3? I have no idea.
So this is actually a really tough question to answer. Let's have a look at the answer.
6
6.
convicted.
So there were 6 people that were convicted. Of those, 5 served terms in jail. Now, I want to say that a lot more people were punished for this in the military. Dozens of people, faced punishment within the military. But a lot of things changed after this. This was a really influential demonstration in Taiwan. The defense minister stepped down. The president apologized. They changed the laws to protect people in the military, the conscripts, from really unfair punishment. And they also abolished court-martial during peacetime. So in other words, if something like this were to happen, it would go straight into the regular courts, not into a military court. All right, last demonstration. What is the largest student-led demonstration in Taiwan's history?
Sunflower movement?
I would say sunflower.
This was indeed the Sunflower Movement. Do you know what they were protesting against?
Yes, a cross-strait trade pact that just went really quickly in the legislature without a discussion.
Exactly. So it was a cross-strait service trade agreement. They were angry that it had been kind of nailed down behind closed doors, and they were afraid that this was going to lay out the groundwork for unification with China. Now, the number that we're looking for here is these students occupied Taiwan's legislature. For how many days did the students occupy the legislature in Taiwan?
I'll say 49.
49
Wild
days?
guess, something.
Okay.
I was going to say 76.
76? All right, let's have a look at the answer.
23.
Oh, wow.
it
Seemed
felt
like a really long
felt like a
time.
really long time, right? It felt like
Like
a
they
really
were there
long time.
forever.
It did feel like a long time, didn't it?
Yeah.
So 23 days. Now, those pictures that you saw just there, I took a lot of those pictures when I went to the legislature.
Oh, wow.
I actually went into the legislature itself to do some shows, and fascinating to watch the students coming together, organizing. They were very well organized. They had a lot of art that was created, a lot of creativity that came out of this. Now, I don't know if you remember how it ended. There was a peaceful ending. There was a huge rally of nearly 500,000 people in downtown Taipei, people wearing black, and they postponed the review of this trade pact. So this was also a very, I guess you could call it a successful demonstration in Taiwan's history. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's just a couple of the biggest and most important demonstrations in Taiwan's history. And up next, we're going to go to Leslie for #Taiwan.